Hi guys, it's Coach Fens here from FTP Training. Welcome to another Friday Tips with Fens. All right, what we're going to talk about today is something which I drill into the riders in the teams that I look after, like the Bennelong Swiss Wellness team, Team Motion on the mountain bikes, for when they go traveling. This is also incredibly important for all riders because obviously you put in a lot of effort in your training for specific events. And especially in Australia, you end up flying quite a bit to get to those events. And I think it's, nothing worse than, and it happens quite a lot in that week leading up to the event, or, you're traveling to the event and you have a few days beforehand and you get sick. It can also happen when you come back from an event and therefore it really scuppers that next block of training. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the tips and tactics that we use to make sure that my athletes stay healthy, that they don't get sick while they're either before or during or after their travel overseas or around the country. Firstly, let's look at prior to travel. Okay, what you've got to remember is that when we've been under a heavy load, that our immune systems can become suppressed. When they become suppressed, obviously it opens up the possibility of getting a cold, getting a flu, or picking up a sickness from people around us. So one of the things that I do is I back training off for my clients and my athletes before they're just about to travel. So firstly, do not complete a really hard session the day before you go, especially not the morning before you leave to get down to the airport, or you're jumping in the car with a group of friends. What I would do is I'd back off about 2 days beforehand, where you may just do more aerobic work. You may just do some endurance or recovery type rides, remembering that the block of training you've done before is the most important, and you're not going to cram train just before your event in the few days leading up to it. All that's going to do is open up your immune system, give you a greater possibility of getting sick. Sleep, vitally important in those few days leading up to travel. Obviously, again, if it's a long haul flight, you're not going to sleep properly on the plane. So making sure you've slept properly in the days leading up to that is vitally important. And that's simple. Remember to turn off your phones, a few hours before you go to bed. Go to bed regular time. Try and get into bed early enough. Read a book. Turn the lights down. Turn the lights off. No TV. All of those things that we've talked about before when it comes to, trying to get to sleep and the issues that sometimes athletes can have with that. So making sure you get to sleep. Another thing is good diet and well hydrated. Again, in long haul flights or up on the plane, it's very easy to get dehydrated. So if your hydration status is not good going to the airport, then it's going to be worse on the plane, and that can lead to problems when you get to the other end. You can have headaches, and you're not in that optimus prime condition that you want to be. Okay, so pre-travel stuff, quite basic, but it's worth following. Right. Morning of travel, you're on your way, and say, I'll take the example of flying. You're on the way to the airport. You want to make sure that you're maintaining your hydration status. When you get to the airport, remember that that's the place where there are so many people, so many germs, and the quickest and easiest way for you to get sick is touching something, and it's hand to mouth, hand to eyes. Okay, so the first thing that I would suggest doing is buying one of the small antibacterial hand sanitizers. You can carry them on the plane because it's only a small amount of liquid, and just be pedantic about this. A little bit of hand sanitizer whenever you're touching things, you're going to the toilet, you're coming out of the toilet, a little bit of hand sanitizer. Might seem very pedantic, but the last thing you want to do is get crook because you didn't carry out a simple thing like trying to stop the transmission of a bacteria or germ from your hands into your mouth and into your system. So, hand sanitizer. Use it on the plane as well, okay? Because again, it's a confined environment. Okay, there's one. Get yourself some tea tree oil. Tea tree oil, again, is antibacterial. Just put a little bit around your nose. What you're trying to do is stop any germs coming in via your nose, okay? It might only work slightly, but a tiniest amount is better than nothing at all, and it's very simple to do. Throat lozenges, okay? Antibacterial, non-sugar throat lozenge. Again, same principle. You're trying to create an antibacterial barrier so that if there are other things floating around in the air, someone's coughing and sneezing around you, or your hygiene has not been 100%, you're creating that little bacterial barrier in your mouth. Okay, so that's a really good pre-tip. I'd get them before you go to the airport. Don't rely on it there, because you've already missed potentially the opportunity to create a barrier for yourself. Okay, you're on the plane. What do you need to do on the plane? One thing that's a bit of a misconception is that the air conditioners on the plane are a way of transmitting sickness because of the recycled air. Research this, and that's really not the case. The filters within the air conditioners on a plane remove 99.9% of the bacteria or any germs that go into the system. So the air coming out of that is actually very good. It's better than the guy or girl who's next to you coughing and spluttering. There are germs all over the place. So what I get riders to do, my athletes to do, is to get them to put their air conditioning fan, the jet, onto themselves. Remember that that's coming onto you and effectively keeping things from coming in. So that's one thing. Obviously, by doing that, it's going to make areas dry. So you want to make sure you're remaining hydrated. Just sipping on water. And that comes to the next thing, alcohol. Don't consume alcohol on the plane. Okay, it's very tempting, especially if it's free. But don't consume alcohol on the plane. Again, it's just something which can aid in that dehydration. Can mean you get to that other side with a slight headache because you haven't slept properly on the plane. And it just doesn't fit in with the work that you've done to get to that position to go to your target race. Compression socks. Again, you're trying to stop deep vein thrombosis. Compression socks are definitely a great thing to do. Compression tights as well, and another great thing. It's just going to aid, aid venous return and stop the potential for deep vein thrombosis. And that's more prevalent in athletes than in a general population as well. So you can get up and also walk around, do some small stretches, etc. And that will all help you. So that's on the plane. Getting off the plane. This is something where, again, it's very easy to just let it all fall by the wayside. Okay, you're walking down a street, there are street vendors doing food, it's an exotic country, you want to try different things. Okay, again, getting a gastrointestinal issue is something which, when we're away at races in Asia, is one of the biggest things that scuppers teams, big teams, doesn't matter, you've seen it in the Tour de France, whole teams getting sick with gastrointestinal issues. And a lot of that is derived from the food that they eat. You do not see the preparation for that food. Lots of times, food is prepared outside hotels, especially in Asia, and they're brought into the hotel. And they can sit in the bain-marie that you're going up to, you're being served, and they can be sitting there for a few hours. And the temperatures of that are not kept up to the temperature that they should do. They cool down a little bit and bacteria form. That's what causes sickness and illness. We've gone to pedantic levels while we're overseas of buying microwaves and microwaving the food. Okay, that's how big an issue it can be. But be thoughtful and mindful of that. Don't try stuff you haven't eaten before because it can cause you issues. Try to make sure that the food you eat, either you've seen it prepared or it's been prepared to order, and you can see it's bubbling, it's hot when it comes to you. All right. Salads. Again, if you're in a country, a more third world country, you don't want to necessarily be eating salads that, you don't know what water they've been washed in. And again, that can pass bacteria on that can give you gastro issues. Okay. So, I wouldn't be eating salads there unless I've washed it myself and I know that it's super clean and that there's no bacteria on there that's going to make me sick. Drinking water. Again, when we're away, the amount of drinking water you can imagine we go through, sometimes 50, 60, 70 bidons a day, plus water to drink as well. So one of the biggest missions for our Swannies is to go out and bring lots of water back for all of the, making up the energy drinks, etc. And to have fresh water for the athletes. Brush your teeth with that as well, because again, it can just be simple thing like that can make you sick. Use your hand sanitizers, because again, there's lots of potential to pick up some sickness from not being properly sanitized. All right, guys, so hopefully that's given you an outline of some very basic but and simple techniques and tips to remain healthy while you're traveling. You know, when you've, you know, for me as a coach, you've put loads of work into, you know, for your athlete to make sure they're in the best condition possible. They've just hit PBs, they know they're going super well, and they get sick. It's one of the biggest nightmares that the athlete faces and I face, because there's nothing you can do about it once it's happened. But there are lots of things you can do about it before it does. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Remember, if you've got any questions or you want some clarification or anything, please give us a call. Look on the website, email us, info@ftptraining.com. You can also look on the website and contact us via expression of interest there, or contact form. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and follow us and our YouTube channel. Again, there's lots and lots of information that we put out that's going to help you as an athlete be fitter, faster and stronger. All right, guys, I'll catch you out on the road or trail. Bye-bye.